SEO on-page optimization, what matters and what doesn't. So today we're going to be diving into what can be an overwhelming topic. What do I need to do on my pages? What are the best practices? What does Google care about? What do I not need to waste my time on? We're going to be talking about things like title tags, URL structure, heading tags, meta description, EAT. What the heck is EAT and why does Google care about it? All those things. So we're going to give you the 80-20 high-level overview, so hopefully we don't overwhelm you. And we're going to get a little bit nitty-gritty as well. But if you got any questions, let us know, and we're going to dive into what you need to do to optimize your pages.
Dude, let's do it. And today's episode is brought to you by Carrot's SEO Tools. That's our sponsor today, is Carrot's SEO Tools. And the thing that we're going to be digging into, y'all, is you can execute everything we're going to talk about today without Carrot, right? That's the aim, is everything that you can learn inside of the Evergreen marketing community, inside of our content. It's universal to get the outcome that you want to get. And in this case, it's ranking really high in Google to get in front of the ideal clients you're looking for. A real estate investor, wholesaler, agent, flipper, could be a motivated house seller, right? It could be a cash buyer. It could be tenants. You know, I use SEO to get my tenants and Airbnb guests as well, and I've used it a bunch, partnering with Bo Hollis and others to get sellers. So this episode is one of the most critical things that you need to do to actually get ranked high in front of those most motivated prospects. And the SEO tools is going to make it insanely easier for you. It's going to make it way cheaper for you. But disclaimer, you don't have to use Carrot for any of this if you want to go with the hard route. So we're going to dig in, y'all. And like Brady said, we could probably teach a 3-day workshop maybe on page, where you can dive in and you'll probably look at Q&A or questions in our Facebook group, the Evergreen Marketing for Real Estate Community, or into other amazing Facebook groups that talk about SEO. The majority of the questions people ask are either on page or it's off page, right? It's backlinks. And one thing that we did, I think it was a couple episodes ago, and I'm going to share up on my screen here in a second. Where did we go? One thing that we did was we said, well, let's really break down what are the elements of SEO, right? So I'm going to flash this up on the screen for those of you watching the video version. As you're tuning in audio-wise, we're going to kind of paint a picture here for you. But before we dive into on-page SEO and the 20% of things are going to give you the 80% of the lift, like where does it fit into the whole picture, right? And at the very bottom, but the foundational part, is the tech stack. It's everything that this is built off of. It's how is your website structured from a code base, right? It's how fast is it loading? It's all the things behind the scenes that you guys don't have to worry about at Carrot, but we build for you. Assume that's all done and you've nailed that. Yeah. Now we're moving on to the next part, right? Yeah. Which is the on-page. And you kind of move up into these next 2 or 3 sections. There's the page structure and making it so the site can be navigated more easily. But then we're going to go up in here to spend probably most of the time in the strategy and the content sections. Yeah. And guys, we have entire courses on this topic. So if you guys were to go to members.carrot.com, you can see we have an amazing training called the 3 Lead Per Day training. And one thing we're going to be able to do for all of you tuning into this is, if you're looking to join Carrot and brand new, we have a killer offer that's going to give you this training for free to get started with Carrot, including some other bonuses. So hold on for that. We'll give you the URL. But this training goes into it in detail. So don't think, number one, that we're going to go into every little tidbit on page today. Yeah. Because we can't, but we will over the months and years with this show. Yeah. And also don't think that you have to remember everything we talk about today, because there is training that you can get that just dials it in for you. So use this as an informational piece. Use this as a piece to say, hey, I get to learn kind of some of the vernacular and pull away one thing to do today. And then just know we're going to point you towards the right next resources. Our coaching call that we have, we'll link that up here in a second, with Mallory and the team. That's going to dive really deep this next week on Tuesday on-page SEO for all you Carrot members. And then we have other resources. So guys, we're not leaving you hanging on this. We're going to get the primer going.
Yeah. And the reason we started this show and the reason why we're doing the topics like this is so that right now you can go to like our YouTube playlist or go to the podcast, start at our first Evergreen Marketing live episode. If you don't know anything about Evergreen Marketing, you can start from there, learn everything you need to know about it without getting too overwhelmed. And, as we progress, we're going to be getting more nitty gritty on some of these things. So if you're a little bit more advanced and these beginning episodes have been a little beginner for you, just stay tuned. We're going to be diving deeper and more specific on future episodes.
Yeah, buddy.
But anyways, that being said, let's dive into it. Did we mention the offer we got going for people?
Mentioned it, but didn't give him a spot to go. So, dude, take it over.
Yeah, go to carrot.com/sale. So for the month of April, I believe we're doing a sale on our base Carrot subscription. You get our base Carrot subscription plus our SEO tools package, which is usually $29, and our content tools, which is also another $29, and our 3 lead per day training, which is a $100 training. All of that for $99. So it's a killer deal, whether you remember or not. So go to carrot.com/sale, or if you're on the live page watching this on our website, just hit the button below the YouTube player. You can get that. It's a killer deal. We're running that right now. So
Okay.
that's going to be all the tools you need to do what we're talking about in this episode today. So anyways, that being said, let's dive into it, man. We're going to talk about the 80-20 of it. First thing, starting with the basics, keywords and entities. How are entities different from keywords? How much does having the right keywords matter on your page?
Dude, this is a big topic, man. And the reason this part is part of that 80-20, right? It's part of the 20% of the things that is going to drive 80% of the results in on-page SEO is over the years, there is, I'm working on logging into something so we can do some demo here really quick, guys. What technology does sometimes, it logs you out of your software all of a sudden, so I've got to log it back in. But what people did, let's say 6-7 years ago, right, was SEO was all based off of phrases, right? So, sell my house fast, Dallas is a phrase. Flowers, flower shops in Roseburg was a phrase. Heating unit repair in Roseburg was a phrase. Okay, so people would optimize their websites for phrases. Okay, so what SEO started to turn into though was entities, and I'm going to do a screen share here in a second to kind of show you the difference between entities and a phrase, because it is quite a bit different. But I'm going to show you a couple nuances that I think it's actually easier running off of entities, and it makes your content more readable by the human. Google likes it better. And once you understand the difference between optimizing for keyword phrases versus keyword entities, I think it actually makes SEO a little bit easier, and you can understand it more. So
it's kind of that misnomer that people, we're stuck in that older mindset of SEO where you think that you have to go after the exact key phrase, in that exact order of sell my house fast, Roseburg, Oregon.
Exactly.
It's not always about that.
Yep, exactly. So let's flip over to a screen share really quick, and I'm just going to go to Google. Okay, and right here inside of Google, if I'm a seller in this example, and I'm typing "sell my house," fast for cash in Dallas as an example, what you're going to see, and I've got the SEO Quake Chrome extension here. It's a free tool. I'd suggest everyone go grab that free tool. And that's what you guys are kind of seeing with this stuff around it. But I typed that as a user, but the thing that you want to recognize and notice is very rarely does the actual title tag up here that gets popped into the top of Google have those exact words in that exact order all the time. You can see this #1 result in the Dallas market's a Carrot member. Right behind them is the national website, which is Houseo. Behind that's another Carrot member, and then there's other Carrot members using our tool to get the advantage in SEO.
I'm going to pause you just real quick, for the people listening. So the search phrase was "sell my house fast cash." Sell my house fast for cash Dallas. The #1 ranking, the meta title that pops up is, the title that pops up is "We Buy Houses in Dallas, Texas. Sell your house fast." Blah, blah, blah.
Exactly.
So it's not an exact match.
Yeah, it's not an exact match. And so let's go down to the next one. So the Houseo, the title for their page is 7 best companies that buy houses for cash in Dallas. The third one down below that, another Carrot member, "We Buy Houses in Dallas, Texas." Then a line, home buyers Dallas. And I can keep on going down. There may not be any of these title tags on this entire page 1 that actually have the words "sell my house fast for cash Dallas" in that order. So that right there kind of proves that Google's looking at ranking pages on page optimization a little bit differently than maybe they were 6-7 years ago. And so what they're looking at are entities, and entities are essentially words that show intent. Okay, they show intent. And so what we can see is there's an intent with the word sell, right? Google immediately knows what you're trying to do with that search, which is sell something. Okay, so sell by itself is an entity. And I'm going to show you actually with the SEO Quake tool and our tool how to use entities correctly. So we're going to spend a little bit more time on this one than some of the other ones because it is important. Another thing that's important is the word house, right? What are you trying to sell? Well, the word my doesn't really matter a whole lot. It could be our, it could be the, whatever it is, right? My is it is something you want to have on your pages. It is an entity, but it's definitely not one of the most important ones. So houses, well, what are you trying to do? I'm trying to sell. What are you trying to sell? A house. How are you trying to sell that thing? Well, I'm trying to sell it fast and for cash. Where? In Dallas, right? So all of those are entities: house, fast, cash, Dallas. The filler words in this case are the words my and the words for. So those are kind of interchangeable, right? Even the word house is interchangeable with the word home because Google recognizes the intent of what you're trying to sell. Home and house is the same thing to them, right? So if I were to go to a web page now and use this SEO Quake tool, okay, so you can just go to a website. I'm just going to pull up. What I did was I pulled up this website that's ranked really, really high in the Dallas market. I pulled up the #1 result, and I said, if I want to find out and do on-page optimization for getting my website ranked higher, and let's say I'm ranked number 10 in Dallas, I want to go use SEO Quake, put in their URL, and say what are their entities they're optimizing for, and what percentages are they using that in there? What does a percentage mean?
Which a quick note, just I'll add in. So this is about how to optimize your pages. We're talking best practices for SEO in general. If you're asking the question of how do I get that #1 spot, or how do I outrank the guy just one ranking above me, you need to take this a step further. The answer to that question is a little bit more than what they're doing. So it's all contextual. So this research is necessary. You got to see what your direct competitor is doing to outrank you.
And we'll dive in even deeper on competitor analysis and things like that in future ones. But what I'm showing on the screen, and I'll verbalize, is I'm going to grab the top 1, 2, 3 websites that are ranking where I want to rank, use this SEO Quake tool, and then go to the density section of it. We have a version of this inside of our Carrot tool, and I'll show you what that means and how to use this inside of our tool. But you can see the major entities that are going to be getting used the most. The word Dallas, okay? So you always want to have your location be somewhere between that 3%, 2 to 3%, maybe even edging over that 3% on density. Now, what does density mean? It means if you have 100 words on that page, which I'm just using a round number, you should have way more than 100 words on the page. But for a round number, easy math, if you have 100 words on that page and you use the word Dallas in it 4 times, that's 4% of the words are the word Dallas. Okay, so that's just the percentage of the overall words on that page, are this. You want to aim for those primary entities, but being around that 3% mark or so. Okay, so Dallas, sell, cash, house, fast, then there's an array of other words down here, okay? So I'm going to take those ones: Dallas, sell, cash, house, fast, and it's like, okay, I need to make sure that those are the primary ones, and they're all hitting, that 2 to 3% mark, okay? So how do we use that with Carrot now? Well, you pop over here inside of your page that you're wanting to optimize. You scroll all the way to the bottom, and you can use this, like I said, if you're not a Carrot member, there are other tools that can do this. We just build this inside of our system. And you go down to the SEO settings section, okay? And then this is where a lot of people don't use this correctly. People will actually insert full phrases, okay, inside of the audit section. They'll put a whole phrase like I have on the screen. Inside of this, it says, sell your Louisville home fast. That's a phrase. We actually want to remove the phrase from our SEO Grader tool and put the top few entities in. Okay, so I'm going to use, in this case, let's say Louisville, right? If my competitors are using that entity of Louisville quite a bit, that's going to be one of the entities. Okay, another one is the word sell. So I'm going to put the word sell in there as another entity. Okay, And then it could be, home or house or fast or something like that for this next one. Okay. So what you can see that happen is now our grader tool actually has a chance to say, I'm going to look at the meta title and the page title and the introduction and the density and all these things to see if we're using these entities well. Okay. So that's at the basic level. I'd shoot for, this is plus or minus, but that 2 to 3% edge towards the 3% for your primary 4 to 5 entities, which are pretty much for real estate investors going after sellers. Sell, your location, the word house probably, and then some sort of qualifiers with fast and or cash.
Yeah, 2 to 3% keyword density for some of those.
Yep. And I know that's pretty technical, y'all. But what I want you guys to take away from it is just mainly the thought that SEO is not about phrases anymore, and it hasn't been for years. It's about the entities. Yeah. And so when you hear us talking about that or other experts talking about it, just think about every word in a search. Ask what is important about that word and what's the intent behind it. What are you trying to do? What's the searcher trying to do? Sell. What are they trying to sell? A house. When are they trying to sell it? Fast. Where? In Dallas. Right? How? For cash. So every single thing, one of those is important.
So you need to talk about that in a way where it's valuable. We'll talk about eat in a second. We'll talk about that too. But I think the main takeaway from that is make sure you have the proper keyword density. Like you said, 2 to 3%, and don't keyword stuff.
Yep.
Like the days of keyword stuffing are gone.
Yeah. They are. Dude, I remember back in the day, this goes way back, right? And I've done everything under the sun on the SEO side of things. But back in the day, you used to be able to take every single keyword, like 30 or 40 of them, and then you would cram them at the bottom of a page, turn the text white.
Yeah.
So Google would see it, but the viewer couldn't see it, and it actually worked.
Yeah.
And you would stuff in like your meta descriptions. So now we'll kind of shift into title and meta, the descriptions, because those are some of the next couple most important on-page things.
Side note, this is just kind of interesting in regards to keyword stuffing. That changed for YouTube too. YouTube used to not really care about keyword stuffing and descriptions. And for people listening, like, Brady, why are you talking about YouTube? Because it's a Google-owned company and it's the second largest search engine. But you used to be able to stuff descriptions. Now they don't as much penalize you for it, but they're just paying less attention to the description. It's more about the quality. So Google as a whole is saying, did the person engage with the video? Did they stick with it? Was this valuable content? Was this helpful? Instead of, do you have all the right words in the description? So it's kind of interesting.
And dude, the biggest thing, because I totally get it, that what we're talking about, there might be a lot of nuances here, and you might be going, oh my gosh, I'm never going to do this stuff. Well, we do a hunk of this for you once you launch that Carrot site. But then we're gonna be there along the way with the coaching calls every 2 weeks with Mallory and the team, with the Evergreen marketing community. Just know if you're at a spot where you're going, dude, this sounds like a lot, you can do it. We have people who literally were non-techie and came into Carrot non-techie, and they're people who do this for other people now.
Dude, I'm that guy. I'm that guy. I'm doing our podcast every single week, and I've learned a lot since I started here. But I've launched a Carrot site with minimal SEO knowledge years ago and started to rank for certain terms. It's the fundamentals, man.
Dude, so the next parts, let's kind of dive into those. So we're still focused on the 20% to drive the 80% of the results. So we're going to put most of today's time on these, and then we're going to buzz through kind of the 80% pretty quickly. So these ones are kind of that page title or the title tag. And I'm going to kind of lump together. Well, let's do title tag by itself, actually.
Yeah.
So
title tag. Only one. Talk to me about title tags.
Yeah. So title tag, kind of going back to once again how Google looks at things. Okay. There's the search that someone did, and now we get to tell Google, hey Google, this is kind of what this page is about. Okay, the title tag is almost like if you're reading a newspaper and you're trying to figure out what is the news today, you're going to see the headlines, and the headlines are going to jump out to you. It's the big bold text at the top that says "Read me first," right? And as soon as you read that headline on a newspaper or at the top of a blog or article, you're going to be going, "Oh, cool! I know what this thing's about. Now let me read the rest of it to see the nuances of the detail of what it's about."
Yeah.
Okay, and that's kind of how Google looks at your title tag. It's the thing, we'll bounce back to the screen share here. It's the thing that when you're doing a search that kind of shows up in that big text in a Google search like this here.
And
right?
you know what's a good example of this I think most people would relate with is when you're looking at least for me, I use Google, the Google app on my phone for my browser. And you go to your news for Google News and it'll say like, here's the top story, one top story, and it'll pull it from CNN. And then just below that, it'll give you like 6 or 7 different snippets from all these other news sources, all very similar titles, you know, different phrases, if you will, but same intent. And so, yeah.
Exactly. And so on the title, and I'm going way basic here, right? Because like Brady said, we're going to go advanced stuff as we continue on in the Evergreen Marketing Show and in our community. This is the 101. Yeah, this is the on-page SEO 101. And if you're battling for the top 3 or 4 spots and you're number 4, you're beyond 101 at this point. You're probably needing to learn 301 stuff, and we'll get there. Okay.
Yeah.
So on that title tag, well, what do you do? We already went through the keyword research processes. If you guys missed that episode of the Evergreen Marketing Show, check them out in our YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube, look up Carrot, or go to the community, or to where else? Our podcast.
Yeah. Or just type in Evergreen Marketing in your podcast app.
Yep. And we talk about keywords there. So let's make the assumption that you've already grabbed your keywords. You used our SEO tool. You're inside of our system. You went to Keyword Explorer and you did some searches. You put in your competitor's URL, and then you ended up grabbing, you know, some of the keywords. Okay. So I'm just using this right here, guys, our Keyword Explorer tool, and just showing, hey, that's my number 1 competitor, Simply Sold, pop it in. What are the main keyword phrases that are driving traffic? Bam, this one's driving 13% of their organic traffic. The Sell My House Fast Louisville keyword. I'm going to grab that keyword, and now that's probably going to be a hunk of my title tag, right? And so you're just basically saying, hey, Google, I'm going to be, you know, telling you exactly what I want this page to be optimized for. So what you're going to do with that title tag is you're going to pick your top kind of couple keywords that are related in intent. Okay, so we're going to be talking about intent a lot. So what does that mean? Well, intent means that they might be different words, but the person's really trying to do the same thing, right? So going back to real estate, it could be the search phrase where someone types up "sell my house fast for cash in Dallas," but the intent of cash home buyers in Dallas is the same thing. It's somebody going to Google to say, "Hey, I want to sell my house in Dallas to someone who's willing to pay cash."
Yeah.
Okay. Or "We Buy Houses Dallas." That's all those "We Buy Houses" billboards and bandit signs that are up there. Google has recognized that is looking for people who actually are people who buy houses. They've linked together those sets of keywords to say it's the same intent. Okay. So we want to grab the top 2 intent keywords like that. And right at the top of your Carrot SEO tool here, or whatever you're using, WordPress, there's other plugins you can use on WordPress. You're going to put your primary keyword in that area. Okay, so it's called your meta title or SEO title. This is that headline that tells Google, hey, Google, this is what this page is about. Okay, and so in this example, "Sell Your Louisville Home Fast," that's the keyword title he has for that page. I'm not going to mess his page up. I'm showing you this one has tended to rank pretty well, and he's got a lot of leads from it. And then the next keyword that he's chose to put in there is Louisville cash house buyer. Intended, you know, they're similar intent. Okay, so kind of that's a good rule of thumb. Grab your top 2 keywords, and that becomes your meta title. Okay, and you can put a little separator in between them. Do you know what that's called? That like vertical separator?
It is. Yeah, it's just separator.
Literally, it's called a separator.
I think it's just separator.
You can put a separator, you can put a dash, because I never know how to actually put a separator in there. So I'll put L's in there, and that's not right, because now it tells Google it's an L versus a separator. So between those 2 primary keywords, you separate them in somehow.
Yeah.
Okay. And that tells Google, hey, this is what it's about. And that's it for your meta title. You want to have a different meta title going after different intent for every page or location page. So you don't want to have your home page with a meta title of "Sell Your Louisville Home Fast," and then a different page that's, cash for home, companies that buy houses in Louisville, or we buy, because they're similar intent. You're kind of cannibalizing, and you're confusing Google, and you're telling Google, hey, we've got a couple pages that are actually about the same topic and the same intent.
That makes sense.
Yep. Now, if there are different locations, right? If it's "Sell My House Fast Dallas" and "Sell My House Fast Houston," they're the same intent of selling, but different locations. So that's fine now to have the same keyword other than location in there as a title.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. So just to clarify, you would or you would not want Sell My House Fast, Dallas and Houston as your meta title?
Correct. Because they're different locations. It's going to be a different searcher in those areas. They're trying to do the same thing, but you're going to be actually optimizing for that location that they're in.
So you don't want both of them in the same one, just to clarify.
I would not want both of those cities in the same one. I'd want a separate page for each one of those major markets.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I bring that up because I think I see people try to make that mistake of like, oh, let me just try and see if I can lump both of these locations into one. Be like, okay, well, I'm going to these 3 markets. Let's make one page for all 3 of these markets. You don't want to do that.
Exactly.
Separate locations.
Yep.
Let's
for sure.
Let's change up the structure a little bit. I feel like maybe instead of we'll talk about H tags or maybe talk about meta description since we're talking about meta title.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Yeah. I don't know. I think my main takeaway, just to oversimplify meta description, Trevor, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's not, you need to look at it not purely from an SEO standpoint, but from a copywriting perspective. The meta description is definitely not the place to keyword stuff. It's like, how can I get the most amount of value and a sort of a sneak peek into what this page is about and the least amount of words so that I can get people to click on it. You know, it should be insanely clear when someone glances at that meta description. I said glance, not read.
Yeah.
What that page is going to do for you.
Dude, it's your chance. Like if you're writing an ad, a Google ad, or a Facebook ad, it's your chance to write copy, like Brady's saying, that attracts the click. And so, dude, this is one thing that's pretty fascinating. Over the years, I've seen this over and over again, where I had a page that, all things considered, you seem like they're optimized the same. Similar backlink profiles, similar on-page entity structure, similar content depth, and just from all respects, it seemed like it was kind of similar. And my website was not ranked as high as theirs, and I was trying to figure out why. This is years ago, but this is still true today in some respects. And I looked at my click-through rate. Okay, so if you integrate your website with Google Search Console, which we're working on some crazy cool tools, y'all, that are going to be going into our overall SEO tool suite. So keep an eye out. That's going to help make that integration simpler. But if you hook up Google Search Console, which is a free tool, you just basically get a piece of code, put it on your site, and tell Google, hey, this is my site. And it's going to give you extra data, and it's really cool.
Yeah.
One of the pieces of data that it's going to give you, which is eventually / soon going to be inside of Carrot, is the click-through rate. When a person does a Google search and then they see the results, what percentage of those searches actually click your result? Okay. If you're doing Google ads or Facebook ads, you're gonna recognize the term CTR or click-through rate because that's a very common stat in paid ads. Well, the same thing happens for SEO. So what I found was the click-through rate of that competitor was a good bit higher than mine. That's why they leapfrogged over the top of me. And so what I went back and did was adjusted my title tag and description and made it more compelling copy, more specific to it. And I ended up leapfrogging them over the coming months and stayed above them. So that's a little bit more advanced. It's probably beyond 101. But that's why the meta description, like Brady said, is important because you want to make it relevant to the prospect who's searching. But you also want to use some words to build desire for them to click it because it's like an ad. Your click-through rate does matter.
Yeah. So have the intent. Yeah. Use the correct intent, have the right entities in there, but it's mostly copy, not just technical, granular keyword stuffing. It's not that.
And that's in that same section. So if you're inside of a page on the Carrot platform, you scroll to the bottom using our SEO tools with the SEO audit feature, and that's where you put those in there, and you can write out your own description in there. Now, by default, we already have those built out for you when you launch a Carrot site. But if you wanted to optimize it further, or as you're creating new pages, new pieces of content, just recognize that tool's there for you to make it a lot easier on you.
Rock and roll. Let's talk about heading tags. Any best practices on heading tags? H1 tag, only have one of those. That's an important one.
Yeah, and that one, I shoot in the Epic Facebook group the other day. We had Keith on to talk about SEO with our Epic members. And things are kind of always changing and shifting, right? And he had mentioned that he's recognized even lately that you can have more than one.
Oh, interesting.
And you can still get rewarded for it. So, a couple of years ago, it was pretty hard and fast. People were saying, no, just one. I think the main thing, guys, so we're not giving you a moving target, is you want to make sure that you're making it clear to Google and the reader what the heck your page is about.
Yeah.
And so I'll show you guys kind of what headings are. Okay, so on a web page, and we'll bounce back to the internet here, and I'll verbally describe it to you. On a web page, basically headings structurally for the website visitor are kind of like subheadings in a book or subheadings in an article, right? Rather than having this giant wall of text on a page or an article, they'll have the big headline at the top, which is visually bigger than everything else. Okay, that visually helps giving you a better experience as a user knowing what the site's about or the content's about. But then you'll usually see subsections where there's like a subsection or a subhead, 300 words into the article that says this next thing, and here's what the next paragraph's about, right? So if it's a 3,000 word article, you might have the title and then 4 or 5 subsections that has a little heading that gives you a clue of what that section's about.
Yeah.
So for readability, it's important because you want to make sure that we're not just optimizing our content and our pages for Google. We want to make sure it's like the user wants to be on that page, that it's relevant, right?
Yeah.
That keeps them in here. And so the first thing is towards the top of your page is going to be, and this is getting techie, but cool things, we take care of this for you, y'all, and make it easy, is you want to have your H1 or heading 1. It's usually going to be the biggest one at the top of the page. It should be one of the first things your user sees, and it should really have your keywords in it, those entities in it. Okay, sell your Louisville house quickly or fast or whatever it is, okay? And it's giving examples. So that's an H1. Now, when you scroll down the page for visual differentiation, Bo did a lot of work on his site yesterday. Actually, he was texting me. He added a bunch of case studies. I think there's 70-something property case studies in here now that weren't in here 2 days ago. But I'm not saying his are optimized great. I'm just saying I'm showing you what H2s are, what headings are. And I'll show you a way to optimize these even better, okay? So as you're scrolling down a page or reading as a user, I'm looking for visual cues to say, what is this page about? Why should I? Here says, get a fair cash offer on your house today. That's kind of the first heading 2 at the top of the page. A heading 2 is just the ones that are slightly smaller than your heading 1, and it separates the major sections of content in your pages, okay? So at me as a reader, I'm like, oh, cool. This is something to do with getting an offer on my house. Okay, so I'm going to read it. The next heading that he currently has on there is, here are just a few homes we've purchased recently. Another one down there, he says, what you'll get from us, and then it keeps on going. He probably has 4 or 5 H2s. Now, if I were optimizing this page, I would make some changes, is I would go inside of our keyword tool. I'm sorry, not our keyword tool. I would go inside of our page editor, and I would scroll down here to the very bottom to the SEO analysis tool. I put my entities in there, right? Louisville, sell, home. If I had one more box, I'd probably put fast or cash. And then I want to do the audit, and you can see these page titles and other things. The subject density on this one for the word Louisville is a little bit lower. It's showing as a yellow flag. I'm going to go into my H2s and say, man, I should probably be cueing in Google and the reader that this is about Louisville, okay? So here, I would maybe change this one to, here are just a few homes we have purchased recently in Louisville.
Oh, wait, go back down. I think it might have been the opposite. I could be wrong.
No, let's
On the
check
grader.
it out. Did it say it's too much?
I think it might have been a little too high. Yeah.
Okay.
As I say,
Yeah,
the
so that one
subject
does
density
say-
is high. Consider lowering the subject usage.
There we go. So as it relates to headings, what I would probably do is then find out where I'm maybe using the word Louisville too much in the main content, and I need to make sure some more of these headings might have it. So you can see this does actually have it in here. We buy houses for cash in Louisville. Okay, it's got cash, it's got houses, it's got Louisville, and there's some entities in there. So ideally, we don't want to have a bunch of throwaway phrases in our H2s. Like there was 1 or 2 that I saw way up here. What you'll get from us.
Well, that's where Google can almost start to recognize that as keyword stuff. And like if you're taking that main keyword, those main entities, and just throwing them into every heading possible, Google's going to see that, be like, they're trying to cheat the system. They're just trying to keyword stuff.
Yeah, you want to mix it up for sure. And as much as possible, try not to have headings that are like this. You know, what you'll get from us as a heading 2. There could be another way to do it, right? Why we are the Louisville's trusted home buyer, or something like that.
Yeah.
So don't overthink it.
Top ways we help home sellers, something like that.
Exactly. And guys, one thing I want to show you all here is we actually have a free tool that I'm going to pop over to everybody. Let's link it up in the show notes here and in the channel. but we have a site audit tool. So I'm going to read it out to everyone listen verbally, but carrot.com/site, S-I-T-E -audit. Okay, carrot.com/site-audit. I would suggest to everyone, even Carrot members, just go try it out. Now, this is a tool. It's not gospel. Okay, it's a tool for directional guidance. And I put in that site that I was showing you before, and it showed as an A. Now, I would want to get it to an A+. And this is showing me a couple things I can do. On page, it shows as an A+. That's cool. And so we can scroll down the site audit tool and really look at some of those on-page things that we can make a little bit better. Mm-hmm. So for this one here, it says add some alt attributes to images. That's going to be one of the 80% things that don't drive the 20% of result we'll briefly mention later. But just use this tool, guys, and it's going to give you some guidance and tell you, hey, yeah, your title tag has some good stuff in it. Your meta description, yeah, it looks like it is hitting the general guidelines. And on this site particularly, it hits most of those guidelines with some opportunities for optimization still. Mm-hmm. Yep. So go put it in, guys. See how it shows up. It's going to show you some on page, a little bit of off page, and I believe it's going to show you some other stats as well that are pretty darn cool that our SEO tool can help you then expand on once you go.
It's pretty in depth, man. I tried it out this morning for the first time on one of my websites. Like, all right, let's see how it goes. And it's in depth without being too overwhelming.
Yep.
It lays it out in a nice way.
Exactly.
It's really easy to see what am I doing well at and where am I missing out.
Yep.
So that's cool.
And for people who are a Carrot member, you might be asking, well, is mine going to get an A+ right out of the gates? And you're going to get a really high score out of the gates, even if you don't change anything. But where you start to see scores kind of go down a little bit is where we dive in and do a bunch of customization. We upload photos that maybe weren't crunched down in size enough. And they're slowing the page down.
Yeah.
Or maybe you're not using our SEO tools to be able to make sure you're optimizing correctly. So it's kind of a checkpoint for you to see. And then just pop through the Facebook group, guys. Evergreen Marketing for Real Estate Community, and say, hey, here's what my site audit's showing. How can I improve it? And we'll give you some guidance in there.
Yeah. Let's talk about URL slugs real quick. We can kind of blaze through this one. Yep. URL slugs, essentially, Google doesn't, again, no surprise, but Google doesn't want to see you keyword stuffing here. I've got an article, I'll link it up, put in the comments if anyone wants to really nerd out on this, but Google likes to see hyphens, not underscores. They don't want to see foreign characters. They don't want to see long strings of random numbers, like long ID numbers in the URL. Basically, I think a good spot check on this is, are you able to glance at it and understand what the page is about?
Yep.
And not just for the eyes of Google, but for the eyes of the user. Like, we glance at URLs. If it's not related to the intent, then you're probably doing it wrong.
Yeah.
But if you want to nerd out on that, check out the link in the comments or the show notes. Not a lot to go over as far as URL structure. Yep. Anything you want to add?
No, not really. I mean, yeah, like you're saying, if you're going after sell my house fast in Dallas, you're probably not going to want to make the whole URL literally sell-my-house-in Dallas. Like, you don't got to use every word in there.
Yeah.
It might be sell house Dallas or sell house fast Dallas or something like that. But
yeah. Not how-to-sell-. Yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
All right. So we have some good questions coming in the chat. So we kind of like to keep this portion of the podcast pretty tight knit, and then we're going to end the podcast version, if you will, and then answer Q&A in just a few minutes here. Mm-hmm. So keep the questions coming in because I'm seeing them in the chat, and I promise we'll get to them. Good questions in here. Okay, so we went over URL structure, heading tags, title tags, keywords, entities. Let's talk about EAT real quick.
Mm-hmm.
EAT.
EAT.
Experience, expertise, authority, and trust. We already talked about keyword density. I think that, this is another one of those topics, like we could go forever on this. But more and more Google is wanting to see helpful content. They're wanting to see it from first person perspective. They're wanting to see that you are an authority on it. And so I'll link up another article here on it too, on some specific examples for what Google calls YM/YL topics.
Yep.
It's kind of interesting, but without getting too deep into it, YM/YL is a your money, your life topic. So anything dealing with like health and wellness or finance, real estate, that's a more important your money, your life topic. And so basically Google looks at EAT closer for those why and wild topics than other industries, if you will. And so if you read that article that I just linked up, some of the things I'll mention is like, for why and wild topics, telling your story via your author bio. And this matters for all industries and topics, but that's something that people easily overlook is like your author bio built into your Carrot site. Make sure you're talking about any relevant experience you have, any credentials that you have. So if you're an agent, talk about your license. If you've done any trainings, anything you can add in that's going to add credibility in the eyes of users in Google would be important to add here.
Yep. And dude, so I just used that example of a Bo, who I think is on here right now. He added a bunch of case studies, right? And that's part of EAT, is showing that you don't just know how to talk about it, but you show that you've done it. Okay. Now, you might ask the question, does that give an advantage to someone who's a experienced investor or experienced HVAC or experienced like whatever your business is versus someone just getting started? Yeah, I think it's safe to say that in any business that someone who has experience in testimonials is going to have some level of an advantage, but it doesn't mean that you can't start to build that up and start to share those case studies as you get them. But there's several ways to kind of look at EAT. There are some cool ChatGPT tools, and we'll probably do an Evergreen Marketing Show episode diving just on EAT, right?
Yeah.
We don't have time on this one, but we're going to dive just on EAT on here. But what kind of doubling down what Brady said on there, definitely talk about if you've been in business for 10 years and you've bought 300 homes, you should probably have that on places somewhere.
Yeah. It's specific. So instead of talking about it in theory, like, we help people sell their homes fast. Maybe since 2010, we've helped over 300, house sellers accomplish X, Y, Z.
Exactly. You should always have an about page. So we've been pushing this heavy. We were the first ones in this industry to say about page is top 3 most important pages in your website. And our data still shows that today. Like if we were to pull up our data and really show what pages are the ones that are the most important, the about page is still today number 3, number 4 most important page in the website. People want to know who you are, and they want to know that you've got expertise and authority and that they can trust you. Another thing is you should have reviews, testimonials on every page in your website, I feel. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
Your home page should have at least 2 to 3. Your reviews page should have a number of them, of course. You should have a reviews page. Your about page, I want to put a review at the bottom of my about page.
Yeah.
Every page that is going to drive anyone to any sort of action, have a review or testimonial.
Yeah.
Because it shows Google and the visitor that I have authority in this. You can trust me because I've done these things. A couple other things on that, I guess, is just know what you're talking about, like educate people, right? We're big on education. And as an investor, as a home services, company, as an agent, what a lot of people did for years in our space was they were just trying to hit people with the ask over their head, like, I can buy your house, let me give you an offer. But what about all the questions and objections the prospect has? Like, what if you had a chance to step in and actually be the educator? When you can be the educator on, well, let me show you the difference between selling to an agent versus an investor or vice versa. Let me show you the difference if I'm in a home services business of fixing your garage door or fixing your HVAC system yourself versus hiring a pro.
Yeah.
And just really doing a good job educating people on that topic. And odds are, if you educate them enough, you are the trusted person. They're going to reach out to you for that help.
Yeah, that's EAT in a nutshell. Terry Tucker asked, what does it stand for? It's expertise, experience, authority, and trust. And you can go deep on each of those. The article we linked up has some specific examples on what each of those looks like. So it's not as vague. But anyways, let's kind of move on. So we covered EAT. That's the 20% that will get you most of the way there. That's most of the SEO on-page optimization 101 stuff. If you want to go the next level, internal links, external links, and then image optimization, and then schema. That's a lot. We'll kind of touch the surface on these, but internal linking, in summary, make sure that you're linking to other relevant pages on your site. 2 to 3 internal links per page. Anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is with SEO to really demystify it for people is stop thinking about what does Google want and how do I like gamify this thing, and just start thinking about if I was reading a piece of content and I'm looking for a solution. What experience do I like when I'm on a web page, and how do we get people to the right content on my website that's going to help advance that conversation?
Right.
So if I have a piece of content that I'm writing, it's a location page as an example, or a blog post, and in there I say, hey, we've had a chance to work with over 500 people, or we've had a chance to buy 35 homes in this market. Literally take that phrase and say, well, what would be the next logical thing that people might want to go to? It might be, oh, well, let me see who you've worked with, or link up to your reviews page, right? Hey, well, why don't you go check out some of the clients we've had a chance to work with? Or you might have a piece of content that is about selling a house in probate. Or if you're in home services or HVAC, you might have a piece of content that's about cleaning your ducts, right?
Yeah.
Not ducks, but ducts with a T. And so if I have a piece of content that is, the 5 things you need to do to maintain your HVAC system or whatever in the spring.
Yeah.
And number 3 was clean those ducts. I want to then link up that piece of content that I have, or the service that I offer, and the page about duct cleaning.
Yeah.
So it's just basically saying, make your site more useful, more navigable for people.
And that goes back to EAT. So Google wants to see internal linking to topics that you're an expert on. They want to see you educating people on your website. And they also want to see external linking, you linking out to credible sources. So if you dig into EAT and what that means, that Google wants to see that authority, and not necessarily just your authority. They want to see you citing credible, authoritative sources. So if you're making any sort of claim, make sure you're ready to back it up with data or another source, and that you can link out to, and you can cite that source from a more authoritative website than yours.
Yep. And our tools help you guys with that. Okay. So number 1, out of the gates, when you launch a Carrot site, we're already doing some of that internal linking for you. I think a shoe-in link that you want to have on probably almost every one of your pages is whatever your primary call to action page is. If you're in one market and you're in Duluth, and that's the only market you're in that you're buying houses in, or you're an agent in, or you're in home services in, maybe every one of those pages that is talking about content might link back to that home page to say, get your HVAC service scheduled today, and link back to your homepage, which has the main form. Or get a fair cash offer on your house today, link back to that homepage, which has the form. So that's a shoe-in link. And whether it's our SEO tool the SEO grader tool at the bottom of every page that we showed, it says, hey, you need to get more links on your page. And if you nailed it, it's going to give you a green check mark.
Yeah. Rock and roll, man.
Cool.
The last one we have, so images, schema. I'm going to make a pivot. We got to do schema on another episode. It's too much of a deep dive.
That's a whole different one.
It's out of the 101. We had a question on it, but I promise we'll do a episode on schema later. Images, best practices for images. Don't upload massive files. Carrot will optimize the images for you and convert them to a format WebP to where they're smaller, where they load fast, so you don't have to worry about that. But I don't know, I'm not the expert on image optimization. Anything you want to say about alt tags, do's and don'ts for alt tags?
Dude, there's a couple things. So number 1 on the images, this is pretty micro, but it's a cool little tip, and I think most people didn't realize it. The inside of Carrot, you can actually edit the size of your images, right? So here's what we're talking about, y'all. When Brady said make sure your image file is not too large, right? Let's say you take a photo with your iPhone here. And the iPhone, it's probably going to produce it in some large format, right?
It'll be huge.
Like 1,500 pixels by 2,100 pixels, or just something like that, like a giant thing. And what if on your website you only literally need like this 3-inch by 3-inch picture to fill that space on your deal?
Yeah.
You upload this giant 4 megabyte file. Our system will crunch it down automatically for you, but it can only crunch a 4 megabyte or 9 megabyte file so far. Right. And so what you do is you either go to another tool if it's a giant picture like a 10 megabyte file, and just go to Google and search up like image compressor, and then you'll be able to crunch it down as far as it'll take it. But inside of our system, you can actually pull up the photo that you want to do, or go to the media section and you can go edit that photo. Okay, so you can go replace the photo, or you can edit the photo, and you can actually crop it, scrunch it down to the actual size. That's going to reduce the size of that photo dramatically and make it load quicker. But the next thing is this thing called alternative text. And so we just make it really easy. So every one of your photos should have something in it that tells Google what that picture is about, right? Now, I think, this is my gut, I think within 5 years, alt text is going to go the way of the old meta keyword tag from back in the day. 10 years ago, there was a site title or meta title, there was a meta description, and there was a meta keyword thing.
Yeah.
And the meta keyword thing is where you just crammed 8 million keywords in it, and it was gamed all the time. And then Google got better and better at reading content on a page and discovering what the keywords were itself based on how you actually wrote the content. And they said, we're just going to stop paying attention to this meta keyword thing. I think that's going to happen with alt text. Now, why is that? I think it's going to happen in the age of AI. Because AI, I can already upload this photo to ChatGPT or some AI, and I can say, what is this photo about? And it will probably give me a decent idea of what the photo's about. Okay. So if there's a picture of a house and it says sold on it and there's happy people, it's probably going to say something about, someone selling this house and What it may not be able to tell you is the location. So I think once AI figures all that out, they recognize, hey, this website or this page says it's about Louisville. Here's these photos. It looks like there's some people and there's some houses and something was fixed up. I think it's going to choose to recognize what the photo's about.
Yeah.
That's my gut. But we're not there yet. So in those alt text sections, you should tell Google what it's about. Now, you do want to use some of your entities in it, but I want to be careful and not overuse the same darn alt text in all my photos. So yeah, I don't want to have this photo say, sell my house fast in Louisville, and then photos down here, do the same. So these ones don't have any alt text. I would add alt text for every single one of those photos, okay? But you don't want to have the same darn keywords for them. So kind of actually describe what's in it, okay? It could be happy Louisville house seller who sold for cash, or, happy simply sold client in Louisville, or just something. There's something.
Yeah.
So you do want to have your entities in it, but don't make it the same, and actually do your best to describe that photo while using the entities.
Yeah, not keyword stuffing. Again, I feel like I'm just repeating myself over and over, but don't think about it as like super technical SEO, like you have to keyword stuff. Just think about, from the user experience, like just explain what the image is about.
Yeah.
Don't overcomplicate it.
And dude, here's an example of it. So what I'm showing on the screen right now are just these little icons. There's a sold icon. There's an icon that shows like a calendar thing, and it kind of is in a section of the website that talks about how many homes they've purchased and how fast they can close. These are images. Now, what people used to do back in the day is they would stuff the heck out of those images with keywords. These ones here, I still want to have an alt text on them, but it's going to literally say like, simply sold calendar.
Yeah.
Or something like that. But don't stuff these things with alt text that has your keywords all over it.
Awesome, man. So just in summary, the 80-20 of on-page optimization 101, go after the right keywords and the right entities. Make sure you have a good title tag related to that entity. Make sure you have your heading tags in the right length, right structure, that they're related. Don't keyword stuff there. You're shooting for about 2 to 3% keyword density on your pages. Don't make a URL structure that's too long. Use hyphens, not underscores. Don't throw a bunch of random numbers or anything else in there. Make sure it makes sense at a glance. Meta description, not for keyword stuffing, but for copy. Make sure that you are getting people to click when they glance at that meta description, that it really entices them to visit your page when you show up in Google search results. So make sure your content is high quality. Make sure that it's actually something people would want to read. It's valuable. You cite your sources, cite your credentials, leverage your expertise and authority, and link your pages together. In a lot of cases, our tools already do this for you, but make sure your pages are linked to each other. You have internal links in your pages going out to other pages. And then, yeah, external links. We'll get into actually next week's episode is all about backlinks and citations. So we'll cover that as well.
I like it.
But that's the gist of it. So anybody listening, we're going to wrap up the podcast portion right now, and then we're going to jump into Q&A. But stick to the basics, follow that checklist, go to the Help Center at Carrot. We've got lots of guides and checklists to help you stay on track with some of this stuff. Join the coaching call this upcoming Tuesday. So if you want to deeper dive into this and you want to dive more into how to use Carrot's tools, the SEO grader, and you want to learn how to use these, join Mallory this upcoming Tuesday live. You can go to carrot.com/coaching. So yeah, if you're looking for a deep dive, join Mallory this Tuesday. It's a bi-weekly coaching call. She's going to dive into that, and you'll get hands-on help from the Carrot team. If you're not a member, you don't have a Carrot subscription, now's the time to get one. We have a really cool deal going at carrot.com/sale. Get Carrot, SEO tools, content tools, and the 3 leads per day training for $99. And if you sign up for that, you're a Carrot member, you'll automatically get access to these coaching calls, to these deep dives. So
really quick on that, the $99, is that for a month? And then
for 1 month,
kind of you get the trial of all, not a trial, but you get to use all those for a discount for a full month. And then after that month, it will renew at the amazing deal that it is, but the retail value for the standard plus the SEO tools and the content tools. And then you guys can choose to keep those on, which I would highly suggest it, because we've seen data that when people use certain parts of our content tools, that they see a marked increase in their leads. So if we take the people who use content tools versus those who didn't, and they used it to launch niche authority pages or the location pages, they see a many multiple higher number of leads. And then on the SEO side of things, I'll show this really quick, because you guys might be saying, well, what the heck is in the SEO tools? This isn't a sales pitch, but at the end of the day, guys, we're building this tool, we're building the tool that we want to use. And we're saying, well, how do we eliminate you having to go to Ahrefs and spend $99 a month or $200 a month to get this data or other tools? And for $29 a month, you can unlock our entire SEO feature set. And on this one right here, you can see there's the SEO tab. If you already have the tool, amazing. I just suggest you go in and use it. Okay, go in there and put in your top 10 to 20 keywords you're going after, and have us track those rankings. Use the Keyword Explorer and put in your competitors' URLs and see what keywords they're going after, and use that to build up your keyword list and do keyword research. And then this is new the last few months, where you have the domain overview. We're going to tell you the basics of how your website's doing and some of the things that you can do. What are those rankings? Are your rankings going up and going down? What about your traffic? And then this is brand new in the last couple months, is our backlink report. Okay, is you can go in there and click the backlink report, and it's going to pull the backlinks that you have and show you the health of those backlinks. And we have other amazing things coming out, guys. So there's more SEO tools that we didn't even talk about. But guys, go grab it. One deal because of an optimization you were able to make from this tool is going to pay for the SEO tools for probably 30 years or so, probably 30 years. Let's look at it from another perspective. If you were to go pay Ahrefs for a similar set of data, about the minimum you're going to be able to pay, get in there is for $99 a month. We're pulling the 80-20 out, the things that are going to give you the best results and the most important things you look at. We're putting them in the software for a third of the price. And then time savings. Even if you hired an agency to do the work for you, and you're like, oh, I don't need the SEO tools. This is actually what you would use to manage and hold your SEO agency accountable. Okay, because now you have reports inside of the system that shows you, are things trending the right direction? Are they building good, healthy backlinks? I can even check to see if the backlinks look like they're healthy and good. And so especially if you've hired an agency, have this tool for accountability. That alone could save you thousands of dollars.
Absolutely, man. So yeah, check it out, carrot.com/sale, and get the deal. Join Mallory on the coaching call next week, and we'll be live again here in the Facebook group next week at community.carrot.com. But yeah, that's the end of the show, the podcast for today. So we're going to stop here, and then we'll be back in just a sec to answer y'all's questions.
Cool.
All right, we are here. We're answering questions. Thanks for hanging in there with us. We had a couple questions from the Facebook group from a couple days ago. One from Jeremy Schooler. We got one from Tim Roundtree, and then we have some more technical questions in the comments today. So let's do this, Trevor. Let's do the. I love the analogy of swallow the frog. Do the hardest things first. Let's answer the toughest questions first.
Yep.
Because I think that would be valuable for people watching, and then we'll get into some of the nitty gritty ones. Some of y'all asked about H tags, that sort of thing. So, Jeremy, shout out to Jeremy, awesome dude, and asked this question in the Facebook group, said, beyond keywords and key phrases, what's next? What else can we do to get ranking? Patience is part of the game, but when a pro does it, they can get results moving faster than an amateur. What basic things can we do to emulate the pros? A simple list that would help people feel like they've done all they can do might help people feel better about the waiting game. I think it's easy to start wanting to adjust things after a time when it might be better to wait, but then again, maybe it's just time to make some adjustments. So I think this is a good question, but I see, I'm going to get nitpicky for just a second, and then I'll let you answer, Trevor.
Yep.
Jeremy, you're asking when a pro does it, what basic things can we do to emulate the pros? The pros aren't doing basic things. So it's almost like, is there a way we can do what the pros are doing with a lot less time and do less than they're doing? So I don't think, I think there's a little bit flaw in the question. There's not basic things you can do to emulate the pros. The people who are ranking number one are going all in on SEO. They're either paying someone else to do it or they're putting in the time. One of the bigger things is backlinks when you get into more competitive keywords, like we were talking about on a couple episodes ago. The higher the keyword difficulty, the more it's going to take to rank for that term. And so at a certain difficulty level, Google is going to want to start seeing quality backlinks, and they're going to want to see that you have more backlinks and more domain authority. So that's my take on it. You can see the Facebook thread from this past week. We do have some checklists we can link up, but there's a lot to dive into. What's your take on that, Trevor?
Yeah, dude. I think with anything, and I'm getting into laid back mode. I'm leaning back in my chair now, Brady. Laid back mode. Yeah.
Crack a brewski.
That's right. No, with anything, and I think it applies for SEO or whatever. It's like, number one, you have to do the fundamentals really well, right? So, I'm a baseball guy. You've got some baseball gloves back here. This one's a killer one, by the way, guys. You got the lead catcher glove. You can't really read that, but I'm a big baseball guy. And so the difference between somebody who is a major leaguer.
I just got that pun. That took me a while.
The difference between someone who's a major leaguer and someone who's in AA, right? The minor leagues isn't that big. Like the person who's in AA is doing probably 80 to 90% of the fundamentals, about the same as the big leaguer. But there's this 10% expert factor, right? Where the big leaguer just was maybe potentially born with a couple things that give them an edge, right? Athletically or mentally. So they just show up and want to do the work more. But then number two is they probably put in more reps. The big leaguer gets the fundamentals right 99% of the time. And the AA person gets the fundamentals right 80% of the time, and the good college player gets the fundamentals right 75% of the time, right? And so that's part of it, the fundamentals and nailing them every time. The fundamentals are the things we're talking about here, right? Are you logging in and making sure you have the right keywords and you're starting there? And then you're going down and just saying, I'm going to nail the entities, I'm going to nail this, I'm going to structure my site there correctly. And those are all things that we help you do more easily within Carrot. But if you want to, as you're creating your own pages, you do have to do some of the work. Now, the next thing is the expert factor. Okay, that pitcher who's a Hall of Fame pitcher in baseball versus the pitcher who is pretty good in baseball. The pitcher absolutely nailed this one pitch, right? Like they absolutely nailed the craft of the slider, and that slider that no one else can hit because they've got the rotation right and their finger placement was exactly right and they're letting go right. They put in the reps. And their slider is unhittable because they honed that skill so darn deeply that even this dude over here is looking at him and going, I'm kind of doing the same thing. You know, why am I not a Hall of Famer? Well, they nailed the nuances of it. It's that 0.5% tweak, that 1% tweak. Now, how does that relate to SEO? It's the person who said, yeah, I'm doing some entity stuff. I did this. Well, the expert who does SEO every day is researching the entities at a deep level, and they recognize, oh my gosh, there's a 0.1% difference in these 5 entities. I'm going to go through and get it where it needs to go at the 0.1% level. Okay. So yes, it's the fundamentals, but then the mastery. Being really practical for you, Jeremy. I think the biggest thing that I always suggest people to do is, with SEO or any other thing, is recognize, first of all, do research and understand how the thing works. Understand how SEO works, or direct mail works, or ads work, and then immediately make a decision if you are going to be an expert on it or if you're going to hire the expert immediately. Don't dance in the middle of going, well, I don't really want to part ways with this money because it feels risky, but I don't really want to commit to being an expert either. If you're in that middle camp where you're like, I'm not willing to part ways and hire the experts so I can focus on what I'm best at, but also I'm not willing to become the expert, then that's where purgatory is. That's where you'll have a Carrot member say, man, I've been a member for a year and I've been doing all the things, but I'm not really getting scale. Then you have someone else who makes a comment in the Facebook group who says, well, dude, I've been a member for 3 years and I was similar spot where you are now, and I've scaled up and I've crushed it. Is they realize that they need to become an expert on it. Or like Michael Toronto in our Epic group, he's like, okay, I just went and hired the expert. And SEO now is my highest grossing and most profitable and most consistent lead source. I'm killing my direct mail. I'm going all in on that because I made $1 million+ on that in the past 3 years.
Yeah.
Mike recognized he's not going to be that guy, but he can pay that guy. Yeah. You guys, you close one deal, literally close one deal from SEO, and it's probably going to pay for that expert for a year or two.
Yeah. So Brandy Simmons says, okay, so how do we nail it? Take away the word basic. What are they doing? I think Trevor summarized it, but they're doing the fundamentals really well. One of the things we see is backlinks. I can't overstress that. They're getting quality backlinks and they're getting more backlinks.
Yep.
That's something that takes time. And a lot of people aren't willing to put in the time to go out and get quality backlinks. They're taking internal linking to the next level. So they're building out robust location pages. So if you're in Dallas, you got location pages for all the suburbs of Dallas, counties around Dallas. You got a statewide page. I'm kind of skimming through this, but they've taken location pages to the next level. Backlinks, they're optimizing the crap out of their pages. They're going past the on-page optimization 101.
Yep.
So a lot of, in short, we have the 3 lead per day training that's in the bundle. Again, it's not a sales pitch, but the people who are really crushing it have gone through that training. It's an extensive training.
Yep. Go through the training, show up for the coaching calls, show up for these. I mean, just as an example, guys, and this is something where this is just real talk, right? That if you want the outcome that evergreen marketing can give you, which is the consistent, best, highest margin, highest converting leads that gives you consistency and predictability, that gives you freedom in your business. If you want that, there's a reason that everybody in this industry is not you're ranked number 1, 2, 3 for your keywords. It's because people might want the outcome, but they're not willing to put in the work. It's the same thing that you look at the world in general. Why is it that someone succeeds in wholesaling or flipping or in their home services business versus the 12 who are kind of doing some of the work, but they're not crushing it as much? Is they're just not putting in the work to research it, right? I remember when Keith, and I'll answer some of these questions insanely directly. There was one that came through that said, so take away the word basic. What are they doing? How do we nail it? I'll answer those very directly. But I remember when Keith started, he came to his first Carrot Camp. I think he had just started SEO at that time. Most of his deals were still coming from bandit signs and some other ways, and it was just wearing him down. Right? It was hamster wheel marketing through and through. And he said, I do not want to build my business off of hamster wheel marketing anymore. It's wearing me out. I can't see myself doing this for another 3-5 years. He wasn't a techie. And he made the commitment that was right for him to say, I'm just going to put my head down. I know this thing works. I can see it working. I have no clue why it's working for others, but I see others are doing it. And I'm just going to put my head down and show up. He showed up to every coaching call that we put on during those years. He showed up to 10 Carrot Camps in a row, right? 10 Carrot Camps in a row. His first Carrot Camp, he was not the expert in SEO. By the time it was probably his 6th, he's like the guy people are learning from.
Yeah.
I remember Keith going through our 3 lead per day training to the point where years later, he was the guy who we hit up and said, hey, Keith, would you want to partner with us to update the 3 lead per day training? I remember him talking about other trainings he started absorbing. So go beyond Carrot's training even, and go to the general SEO world and go, what other high-level SEO courses can I learn from now? And the reason I'm spelling this out, guys, because that is the difference between expert and a dabbler. But the cool thing is, with business, you can hire the expert. So it's who, not how, right? Focus on the who. Okay, the who is either going to be you learning to be the expert and executing it, which some of the things you need to be the who, but then recognize where you just take the money and that you may have, and then invest in the who might be somebody else to do that thing. So now practically, yeah, guys, send through examples if you want us to look at it.
So yeah, I was going to say, Brandy, we got a thread going in the chat right here. Brandy was asking, how can you explain someone starting a month ago and already ranking #1 and they've done almost no SEO work? So she sent through an example, milesbuyshomes.com. I don't know for sure how old this website is. Before looking at this website, I was going to answer generically, but we could take a look at the website if you want, Trevor. I was going to say, if they're ranking #1 for a competitive term in less than a month, they got to be doing something black hat. We talked about that on last week's episode. Like generally, if you're ranking that quickly, SEO is a long game, 3 to 6 months up to a year for some of the more competitive terms. I would think that they're probably doing something black hat to rank that quickly. And I would encourage you to check in on if they're still ranking for that #1 spot 6 to 12 months from now. Because you can get away with black hat stuff in the beginning, things that Google does not like or Google might recommend, but it might hurt you. There's a good chance it'll come back to bite you in the long run. So how long are they going to have that ranking for?
Yeah, and like Brady said, I mean, SEO and any other sustainable long-term marketing, you have to be looking at this in long-term, like years, not weeks or days. Okay. And what oftentimes happens is people start to do what I call day trading SEO, right? So if you're day trading stocks, you're always looking at, oh my gosh, this stock did that, this stock did that. And you make reactionary movements or judgments based on what happened today or what happened this week. Now, if you look at Warren Buffett as an example, he does research, he buys a stock, and he's like, I'm going to hold on to this thing for decades, usually. Right? He's looking way long term. That's why he's succeeded. He says, I'm not going to get mired in the distraction of the this week, of the what happened today, of the change that happened. I'm going to put my head, do my work, and I'm going to trudge forward, because all the people who are doing reactionary things, or maybe even some of the wrong things, they'll pop up and they'll have a win, but then they're going to fall off. But I'm still going to be here in a year or 2 or 5 years. And like what Brady said is, when you launch a new website, we experienced this in the HVAC market just recently. Okay, we launched Pacific Air Comfort, and if I were to show you guys this site, let me just see really quick if we have. I don't know if we have any keywords that are starting to track in here yet, but if it does, yeah, cool. So share it my screen here if we can, Braden. Oops, there's the right one right there. Cool. Awesome. So right here, Pacific Air Comfort. So this is an HVAC site, and we're expanding into new markets. When we first started working with them, they were probably ranked 7, 8, 9 for most of the keyword phrases in the markets that they were going after. Okay. Now this website went live, I think it was a couple weeks ago is all. What we started to see is, and we don't have most of their keywords tracked in here. What we started to see is literally they're ranking like number 3 or 4 now immediately within a couple weeks of launching their Carrot site. What I look at is, yeah, that's exciting because the fundamentals of the Carrot site are right. But when a new website launches that has some of the fundamentals right, oftentimes Google rewards it with a really high ranking. But then over the next 2 to 6 weeks, it's going to kind of really analyze that site deeply. And then it's going to place it where it thinks it really should be. Okay. And so this site, while it is a big win, I'm not going to the client right now and saying, hey guys, you guys are ranked number 2 here now, where you were ranked number 7 before you moved to Carrot, because it might go back down to 7 in 3 weeks. Okay. It might go back down to 7. So yeah, don't day trade SEO, guys. If there's a competitor that popped up and they're ranked number 1, like Brady said, they might be ranked number 42 in 2 months or 3 months, or they might be ranked number 1 in 3 months. Just focus on you executing the strategy, And then at the expert level where people are saying, well, what does that expert do? Then they go and analyze. Like we would analyze that website and say, well, what are they doing correctly? Let me look at their word count. Let me look at the entities. And I'll show an example. So with this, so we've got the Miles Buys Homes. What's the URL of that client who is going up against Miles Buys Homes?
Oh, you're doing the same thing. I was going to. No, you're good. I don't have that URL. I was going to plug in Miles Buys Home to see what they're ranking for. Because I went to Google and typed "Sell My House Fast, San Bernardino, California," which that's what their homepage is after. I don't see them ranking at all. Maybe it's a different location. Sorry, Trevor.
Oh, you're good.
Yeah, Brandy, plug in your URL if you don't mind. What you're trying to compete with. Brandy said, "I don't know what black hat means, but he doesn't seem like he would know that stuff, or at least he acts like he doesn't. But he's already getting contracts, several a week. He didn't realize getting 2 contracts in a week was a good thing." It sounds like I'd be careful to make I'm not saying you are, Brandy, but I'd be careful to make the assumption that he's getting those leads through specific search terms or through SEO. If they're online leads, like just because he's closing contracts and he just launched his website a month ago and he's talking big game when it comes to SEO, if that's what's happening, it doesn't necessarily mean he got those leads from online. It looks like it's not a carrot site, so I can't tell. But yeah, they could be direct searches. He could be doing offline marketing that we don't know about, and they're searching for his brand name. That's why brand search is super important. It might be that. But yeah, Brandy, plug in your URL.
Yep, and I popped that URL into our Keyword Explorer, so into kind of the spy tool. And at least according to this data, now, oftentimes with any SEO tool, it's not going to grab every single ranking in the report, but there isn't any of these primary keywords that it looks like that URL is ranking on page 1 for. So while, like I said, he may be saying that, the data is showing at least that it's probably not coming from SEO. Like I said, unless there is a keyword that he is ranking for, that might be a locally based search phrase, right? And what I mean by, if you're in San Bernardino and you search a certain phrase, you might be getting a different result than what this tool is showing, since this tool is not in San Bernardino.
Or maybe you have a super niche phrase with extremely low volume. Like I can make up a search term right now that hardly anyone's searching for and rank number 1 for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it looks like he's not ranking.
Yeah. So the more data, the more we can help with it. But yeah, especially if well, let's just do this right here. So sell my house. Let's do sell my house fast, San Bernardino. Okay. So right here we've got SoCal Home Buyers, which is a pretty big investor in California. Okay. We've got Osborne Homes, which is a really big investor there. We've got, looks like Get Fair Offers. That's a Carrot client. We Buy Ugly Houses. That's, public company. So yeah, I mean, so far, and this site right here, this site I'm showing, Freedom Real Estate Solutions, they're ranking decently high. Guaranteed they're probably losing minimum 50 to 60% of their leads. Like this site is brutal on conversion, 100% guaranteed they're probably losing 6 figures a year in profits right now, and don't even realize it because it's not optimized for conversion. Yeah. Let's see, just kind of clicking through these. Yeah, that's a Carrot site, doing well. Cool. Yeah. So my gut. There's Miles Buys Homes. So right there, it looks like it's number 8 for this particular one, and it is getting up there. But there's no way he's getting multiple contracts per week with just SEO right now. All
right. I hope that helps, Brandy. Sorry, that was a rabbit hole we dove down. But let me check the chat, see if we have any other questions. If you guys have questions, pop them in. One that came in a little bit ago was, how far down the H tag should we go? Is H1, H3 enough? Or do we need H4, H5, H6, H27?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is something, I'll just be flat out honest. There's probably other people who know the scientific number on this better.
Bring your mic up a little bit.
Oh, yeah, there's probably other people who know the scientific number of this better. But you're probably never going to branch into H4s, right? So I would focus on your H1. You can have one of those a page. There's some data showing, I've heard that a couple of a page could be helpful, but you're going to mainly do H2s then. and probably pretty rarely in H3 really. But yeah, you're not going to go beyond that hardly ever.
Yeah.
I'd focus on your H1s and then your H2s primarily. Yeah.
Let me see. I'm going through the questions. I don't see any other questions. Bo said, I swear once you wear a Carrot shirt, you basically are a pro. At least you will look like one. That is 100% true. Putting on a Carrot t-shirt will make you a pro and will guarantee #1 results in Google. Just kidding. Let's see. No other questions that I see so far. There was a question, we kind of already answered it with someone in the Facebook group a couple days ago. It sounded like they launched their Carrot site about 4 months ago. Let me see if I can pull it up right here. Tim Roundtree, after Carrot was paid to do our SEO and complete setup, what should I expect? I don't know the nuances of that question. We don't... So we do help with website setup. I don't know what Tim Roundtree had purchased. We can help you with your website setup, customization, that sort of thing. We have services there, but we don't do, we're not an SEO agency. It's been 4 months. I have to be honest and say I'm getting tired of hearing it takes time. Not mad, just frustrated. Help Trevor.
Yep. Dude, and that's one, I mean, we've done content on this for years. So I guess I've got my iPad. I could probably pull something up. Or I'll verbalize it, but in our webinar and I think in our onboarding, I've got this graphic that basically walks through that first year. Okay, walks through that first year with SEO, and there's this thing called the 261 formula. And the 261 formula, Tyler Ford, one of our longtime successful clients, he created that 261 formula, and it's essentially you got to work your butt off for that, or somebody does. You can hire the person to work their butt off to do the SEO for you, but you've got to work your butt off for the first couple months for sure to really get that momentum going. All right, launch those location pages, do the things that we're talking about here to optimize that content, or pay someone to do it. And then within about 6 months, then you see the next kind of blip where I call it the ranking sprout. If you've done the right things, then somewhere around that 4 to 6 month mark, we usually start to see a jump where you're ranking on page 2 and stuck on page 2. Then all of a sudden, bam, you're number 6 in Google for the phrase that you're wanting. And that sometimes happens overnight. It seems like no result, no result, no result, no result. I'm doing the work. I'm building backlinks. I'm launching my location pages. I'm making sure that the content's robust and optimized. And then all of a sudden it goes from page 2 to middle of page 1. Okay. And then from there, you might start to get your first leads. You get a lead a week, a couple leads a week, maybe. Not enough to really go, oh my gosh, my business has changed, but momentum's moving. And then the 1, so 2, 6, your ranking sprout happens around 6 if you're doing things fundamentally right, using our platform. And then 1 is around the 1 year mark is when momentum really starts to pick up. Okay, that's where your ranking started to climb. You went from number 6, 7, 5 to number 3 or 2. You kept executing the right thing. So work has to happen during this time. All right, consistently build backlinks, get your citations built, which you can do that in our marketplace, or we have education that shows you how to do that. Which is basically getting your website listed on local listings. Right, your Google My Business profile, it links to your website. Your Yelp profile links to your website, things like that. Get your first good quality backlinks going. Your location page is built. Do the things on our coaching calls to optimize it, those little tweaks. And then a year later, it's like, man, I start to see maybe a couple of leads a week, 3 leads a week, 4 leads a week. And at that point, if you're getting 10 to 15 SEO leads a month, that really should turn into a deal a month. Okay. On average, it's between 10 to 20 leads turns into a deal, depending on the market, depending on your ability for negotiation, how you close those deals. But let's say it is 20, which is way more leads than most people usually take to get a deal, who are really good at negotiation. So if it's 20 and you're getting a couple leads a week, that means every 2 to 3 months you're popping a deal. Right? That's not a lot of deals, but if your profit's $20,000 per deal, that means somewhere between 4 to 5 deals a year. That's a 6-figure income just from SEO. All right. Now, if you're in a bigger market, a year later, you might be getting a lead a day. Now, here's where it really starts to pick up from month 12 to month 24. So going into year 2, that's where momentum picks up even more. Okay. Year 3, bam, you're rock solid. You're getting real consistent results. And now in year 2 to year 3, that's where we see people hanging up that other type of marketing. They hang up their direct mail, they hang up the cold calling because they now see the consistency of it. But 4 months in, you haven't even had the time for that marketing channel to really sit and seat. Last thing I'll say, I'll toss over to you, Brady, is I want you guys to think about evergreen marketing. Like the offline version of evergreen marketing is networking. Okay. It's building your referral network. Okay. So it takes a bunch of work. You show up to this networking meeting and that networking meeting, and you reach out to these people and you keep in contact with them. 2 months in and 5 networking meetings, you're not going to get a bunch of referrals, right? People don't know you. People don't trust you. Momentum hasn't had a chance to pick up, but people go, dude, I've showed up to 5 networking meetings. I've traded business cards with 35 people. Why haven't I got a deal yet? Offline marketing, relationship building takes time. But let's say 6 months in, 7 months in, you're showing up consistently. You're going to those networking meetings. You're going to the RIAs. You're having coffee with 3 or 4 people a week. You're reaching out to 2 or 3 agents a week and connecting with them and just adding value. All of a sudden, 6 months in, after that consistency, someone reaches out to you and says, hey, I've got a lead for you. I think might be a good off-market property. You go, oh, dude, that happened. You close the deal. You share it up with your networking group and go, hey, guys, here's a deal case study. Had a chance to help someone with this. Bam, you get another one. Bam, you get another one. Year 2, year 3, you're like, dude, I get 5 to 10 referrals a month now from that. But if you quit 4 months in, 5 months in with networking, and then you move to another marketing channel and quit 4 months in, and move to another marketing channel and quit 4 months in, that's where people stay on the hamster wheel. You got to stick with it.
Got probably about 3 or 4 more questions in here we can blaze through. Josue, what's up, Josue? I just made a page for my brokerage. My buyer's page does great. Can we discuss agent page success stories? That's a little loaded, but have any examples of agent pages doing well?
Dude, Anthony Beckham's is always a really good example. And what was the specific question? I was reading something when you...
Can we discuss agent page success stories?
Yeah, for sure.
He said he just made a page for his brokerage.
Yeah. Let's share this up on the screen.
Yeah, Anthony's site's doing well.
Yeah, this is a killer example. So Anthony went through the concierge system as well. And he gets a lot of leads, inbound leads. He has a motivated house seller investor site as well. So he's a hybrid agent. But this is a really good Carrot agent site. Okay, he's got the IDX built in here. He's got good localized photos, good testimonials. He's big on video. And so he's chose to really use video and leverage the video side of it. And he's got neighborhood pages. So they're doing a really, really good job with this. Now, if I were to go to sell your property, he's got a sell your property page that I'm pretty sure.
I think that links out to his motivated seller leads site. His investor site. Yeah,
he's got ones for both. But so look at this, guys. His agent site is actually the one that's ranking #1 on Google for phrases like "sell my house fast, Roseburg." And so this page can really improve. It doesn't even look all that good. It needs a headline and some other things. But he's getting leads here. Okay. Homes for sale. It's got the IDX baked in here. And then over here on the reviews, let's see. Yeah, they've started to pile in just a bunch of pictures, a bunch of case studies. Looks like 1 million of them, dude.
That's awesome.
Millions of them. Yeah. Last one here, just kind of show the about page. They've done a killer job building their brand, bringing in the credibility, and just really building that expertise, authority, and trust. Yeah. Hopefully that was helpful for you guys.
Just wait, you got to get on video, man. You could be doing what Anthony's doing. You're killer on video.
100%.
A couple more questions. Ryan Hawker, what's up, man? Thanks for popping this in. He said, I have a state page and then major cities as sub pages. And then smaller pages branch off of that. If I delete some of the pages, will more of my backlink power get pushed to the remaining pages?
Okay, so you've got state page.
State, major cities, and then even smaller locations off of that.
Okay.
I think he's asking if he deletes some of the smaller locations or maybe some of the cities. Will his backlink power get pushed to the other pages if he has backlinks pointing those pages that are now deleted?
Gotcha. Yeah, so most people, when they build backlinks, most people's backlinks just tend to go to your homepage, right? So your homepage is usually going to have a higher domain authority or page authority or whatever tool you're using. Now, what I would suggest is when you're building backlinks, I would build backlinks that link directly to your location pages that you're actually trying to get ranked for as well. Okay, so you're probably going to have most of your backlinks going to your homepage, but when you're building backlinks, have some of them go to those location pages. Okay, because that's going to help build the page authority for those pages, which is good. It's going to help those pages rank better. So don't have all your backlinks go to your homepage. Okay. In the next part then is if you do have backlinks going to the like sub locations. So let's say you're a real estate agent and you have a homes for sale in Roseburg, Oregon, and then I have a homes for sale in Fairway Estates, Roseburg, right, which is a development, I guess, up in Sutherland. Okay. If I have a bunch of backlinks going to the Fairway Estates, and if people actually search for homes for sale in Fairway Estates, and it's an actual location people are looking to buy in, I would not delete that because that's something that actually delivers value for that specific search. Now, if I'm a real estate investor and I'm going after Sell My House Fast Roseburg, I'm not going to create a page off of Sell My House Fast in the Hillcrest neighborhood in Roseburg because sellers don't search that way, right? Sellers don't search in neighborhoods. They'll usually search in locations or just say Sell My House Fast without the location. But buyers do search by neighborhood. Okay, so it really depends on your strategy, y'all. But if you are kind of the rule of thumb is for seller pages, I'm not creating pages on specific parts of town, but on buyers I will. And on sellers, I'm going to create it for the major towns. And even here in Roseburg, like I'm not going to create a page that's Sell My House Fast in Glide. Glide has a couple thousand people. It's still Sell My House Fast Roseburg. Yeah. So in that case, I might get rid of my Glide page.
So likely wouldn't pass through, but if people are searching for that, if those are getting traffic, then don't delete them.
Yeah, and if you have links, if you have backlinks going to any page and you chose to delete it, you should always do what's called 301 direct. And you can do that inside of our software. You just log in there and our support team or the tutorials will help you set up a 301 redirect. But anytime you delete a page, especially if you have a link going to it, you always want to 301 redirect that page to the page you'd rather have people go into.
Gotcha. That's good. Here's an easy one. Mike Lorenzi, do you want the same meta title for any sub pages like your About Us or company pages?
Yeah, that's a good question. So you always think about intent with every page, right? So what's the intent and what do you want? What do you actually want that page to rank for? Way back in the day with our templates, I used to have like on the How It Works page, literally primary keywords on there. Okay, because we would actually have your location page ranking for Sell My House Fast Roseburg, and I was able to get my How It Works page ranking right below it. But over the years, as Google's changed its algorithm, it really doesn't want you to cannibalize that content or those keywords. So you don't want to have those keywords being optimized for on multiple pages. Okay, so now let's go to your contact about page and reviews page. Your reviews page should be optimized for your company name plus reviews, right? ABC Buys Houses reviews or Anthony Beckham Realtor reviews, okay? Your about page should be just optimized for your company name, right? It's just literally my company name. And that's going to be my title tag, Anthony Beckham Realtor, Roseburg, or ABC Properties, Louisville, or something like that. Contact page, I'm literally just going to say company name contact, and then you've got your phone numbers. Maybe I put my phone number on there potentially in the title tag. So it shows up when people are doing a search for my phone number.
Right.
But each one of those pages should be optimized for different things. But you always ask the question, what may someone be searching where this is the best page that I should serve it up to them? If they're searching for reviews, you want your reviews page to pop up. If they're searching for your company name, it should be your company page that pops up.
Yeah.
If they're searching for your contact info, it should be your contact page that pops up, and optimize them accordingly.
All right. Good question. Yeah, different meta titles. I think this is the last one. Ryan Hawker, another good question. How important is schema nowadays? He said he ran the audit. Thanks for using the tool, man. It's good. We're getting feedback on it. Ran the site audit you guys shared, and it said I'm missing local business schema. How important is it?
Yeah, we'll do a deep dive on this for sure. So if you're a real estate agent now, in Google, they actually have local business categories, right? If you're a restaurant, if you're a real estate agent, and there's other types of local businesses where they've flat out made categories and said there is a real estate agent category. Okay. If you're a real estate agent, you should go through and use the schema. Our team can help you navigate and show you how to use our site to get the right schema on. Admittedly, that's something I think we need to make easier to use. We need to make adding schema easier. You can do it on your Carrot system. If you're a real estate agent, definitely do it, because like I said, if I Google search, let me just see if this works. Real estate agents Roseburg. I'm just going to see if this pops up or not. Let's see. Maybe Portland, a bigger market. You'll oftentimes see, and it's not showing it for me here. Sometimes what you'll see is a whole little section down here that basically has a list of 4, 5, 6 agents with their faces on it, and it's bringing in that local schema saying, hey, these are real estate agents. Okay. It doesn't do that right now with real estate investors. So yeah, there's some things that you could do with schema, but if you're not ranked on page 1 or the top 5, and if you're battling for like position, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you don't have schema and the others do, then yeah, schema something you should maybe worry about. But if you're not even on page 1 and you haven't got the other fundamentals done, don't even worry about schema.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, that's a great summary, man. Shoot, I think that's all the questions today. Yeah, that's
Cool.
it. That was a deep dive. We set a record. This is the longest episode so far.
It was a long one.
This is good though. Anybody still hanging on here? Thanks so much for hopping on. This was a fun one. Appreciate your questions. If you want to get the deal we have going, go to carrot.com/sale. If you want to get even deeper into this and learn how to use the SEO tools and hop on with Mallory, go to carrot.com/coaching and add the coaching call to your calendar for this upcoming Tuesday. If you're not in the community, join us, community.carrot.com. I think that's all. But yeah, thank you everybody for hopping on. We appreciate it. And we will see y'all next week.
Awesome. Have a great week, y'all.